Welcome to the last section of this presentation, and as usual, I'm sure you are aware that it will be devoted to discussing issues of place. Now, Kotler and Armstrong 2010 argue that a place is a set of independent organizations involved in the process of making products or services available for use or consumption by the consumer or the business user. Now, you know that production is not complete until the goods are in the hands of the final consumer. And therefore, place is about moving the products and services from the place of manufacture and transporting them to the place of consumption. That is what place is all about. And once this is done, the customers can find the goods in the right form, at the right place, and at the right convenience. And we believe that place decisions add value to the whole product and makes it complete because it ends the production process. And we also say that place decisions help organizations to gain competitive advantage because the way you distribute your products could help you gain competitive advantage. And then we also say that place decisions enable the consumer who needs the product to get it right from the place where he or she needs it. And lastly, place decisions eliminate any challenges that consumers will encounter in order to have the product in his or her possession and for use without having much time to waste. Now, look at the whole place issue. You move products or place through the channel. So what you do is that place is about designing a channel of distribution and managing relationships with these channel members. And we'll look at issues that you face or what we call channel design issues. So channel of distribution design therefore involves a relationship or a lot of activities that companies do. First, you need to analyze the consumer needs. Then first, you need to also, secondly, you need to set the channel objectives. Then you need to identify the alternative channels that are available for moving your goods. And then finally, whilst at that, the organization could also decide on which type of channel members to use for effective operations and overall excellent delivery to its customers. And then you evaluate the alternative channels that are available for moving the goods from the place of manufacture to the place of consumption. These are the various types of channels that are used to distribute goods. First, you have a manufacturer who sells the goods directly to the final consumer. That's the first channel, and it's called a direct channel. Then you have a manufacturer who sells the goods to a retailer, and the retailer sells them to the final consumer. That's the second channel. Then you have a manufacturer who sells to a wholesaler. The wholesaler sells to the retailer sells to the final consumer. You have a manufacturer who sells to the agent, and the agent sells to final consumer. In fact, for agents, they come in when the goods are technical or they are industrial goods. And because they are industrial goods, you expect them to perform a lot of after-sales services. So find out whether they are retailers who are selling computers. You find out no. All those who are selling computers, cars, industrial machines, they use manufacturer, agent, and final consumer. Factors influencing channel design. I believe some factors influence the design and are classified as follows. Factors that relate to the organization itself, factors that relate to the consumer, and the factors that relate to the product. Product-related factors include perishability of the product. If the product is perishable, use shorter channels. Bulkiness of the product. If the product is also bulky, like sand and stone, you sell them direct by using shorter channels. If the unit value of the product is high, or if the product is of high value, normally you don't want a lot of handling, so you use shorter channels to distribute it. So if the product is of high unit value, like gold, for example, have you seen many middlemen, retailers, wholesalers handling gold? No, it is sold directly and sent to the buyers. Now you have the customer-related factors. the portion of the budget allocated to place decisions. You see how much money the company is allocating to place decisions will also count. The size of the target market is not just the size, how big, how the number of customers, but it's also about how scattered they are. That will help you design the channel. For example, if they are scattered, you cannot do direct. You need to use a lot of middlemen. Then the other size, the quantity they buy per time. If they buy in small volumes, for example, people want to buy milk, he buys one thing, two things. Definitely, you can't sell them directly with your salesman. You have to allow wholesalers, retailers to sell them. Therefore, you'll be using longer channel. The buying behavior too is the way people behave when they want to buy certain things. For example, traditional products such as food are sold through channels which the people have adopted over the years. Look, no matter what you do, people don't want to buy cassava from the shopping malls because traditionally that is not how they are used to buying cassava. Now, product-related factors. For the product-related, we are looking at industrial or consumer product. If it's industrial, you use technical or shorter channels involving agents. If it's consumer, you use retailers. Then the availability of the middlemen themselves. Sometimes the middlemen are not available. So if they are not available, you have to go direct out of necessity. Then we look at the activities of these middlemen who help us to move the goods. So we have these guys called wholesalers and retailers. But we all know what wholesalers do. They actually they do an intermediation role between the manufacturer and the retailer. So the wholesaler is in the middle between the manufacturer and the retailer. Note that wholesalers don't sell to final consumers as long as this channel of design is concerned. You may have merchant wholesalers, agents and brokers, manufacturers and sales branches and overseas. You also have retailing. Retailing, they come in the chain and they move the goods from the wholesalers to the final consumers in the right quantities and at the right places so that people can buy them. Now, you have so many retailers. The self-service retailing, you have the limited service retailing, specialty stores, and then you have the departmental stores, the supermarkets, etc., which are all retail outlets. You also have the convenience stores, the superstores. They are all convenient, they are all retailing outlets. All these ones, the franchise, they are all retailing outlets. Remember that these retailers and wholesalers, they play vital roles, and I urge students to read more on the functions of the retailers and the functions of the wholesalers. Now, let's jump to the last part of our presentation, which is called vertical marketing system. Now, the idea behind vertical marketing system is that traditionally, you have manufacturers and distributors who work independent of each other. The manufacturer produces, the wholesalers, retailers, and some key distributors move the goods to the final consumers. But sometimes you have a lot of conflict. The interest of the manufacturer may sometimes be compromised. So what is happening today is that you have vertical marketing system where the manufacturer successively participates in the distribution chain. That whole thing is a vertical marketing system. And so what we mean is that a vertical integration system is different from horizontal marketing system. But let's look at how it operates. Look at the conventional marketing system, which is vertical. You have a manufacturer who brings the goods to the wholesaler. The wholesaler sends the goods to the retailer, and the retailer sends the goods to the consumer. The manufacturer is different and independent from the wholesaler, who is also different and independent from the retailer. But when we go to a vertical marketing system, what happens is that you have a manufacturer. They are not in separate boxes. The manufacturer controls or has part of the business of the retailer, and the same manufacturer controls part of the retailer. That becomes a vertical marketing system. And it's because the manufacturer wants to have control over successive stages of the distribution channel. So he manufactures and he controls the distribution channel. And this takes various forms. You have what we call the corporate vertical marketing system. Here, what the manufacturer does is that he manufactures the goods and he owns part of the wholesaling, the retailing, and then gets the goods to the final consumer. The reason is that he thinks that by taking part in the distribution, he controls his everything and he generates money. Now, take the typical case of NS Chemist. He designs, he manufactures some of the drugs himself. He has the wholesaling unit and the retailing unit. And perhaps the reason is simple. He wants to have control over his market because the retailing outlets is where cash is generated. So he generates the cash, pushes the cash forward to the manufacturing sector, and then recycles it again into the business. So in the corporate vertical marketing system, the manufacturer controls the successive retail and wholesale units. Either he owns them or he owns a major chunk of them. Then you have what we call contractual. If it's contractual, then the whole thing is by contract. So the manufacturer signs contracts between himself, the wholesalers and the retailers. So for example, he says that, okay, I'll give you the opportunity to either license my product to you or I'll franchise my product to you. In that case, it's a contract that we have signed. I will manufacture, but I also give you a license and you also distribute the goods for me. And the last one is called the administered vertical marketing system. In the administered vertical marketing system, between the manufacturer, the wholesaler, and the retailer, what we call a channel captain normally emerges. The channel captain is the one that has the biggest influence, and he can pull all the others to follow what he wants. So, for example, some organizations can go to a manufacturer and say, design this product for me, but don't put your name on it. Put the retailer, my name on it. That means that the retailer, because the retailer is the channel captain, he's influencing all others in the chain. In that case, the vertical marketing system is called administered because it is the party with the highest power that influences the rest in the channel. You have a lot of advantages of vertical marketing systems which you can pick and go over. That's the end of my slides, and I thank you all for following principles of marketing. Thank you.